Welcome, movie fans. Today we're dissecting another animated movie called The Boss Baby. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Anatomy of a Movie.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're back and we're talking The Boss Baby with Alec Baldwin, Steve Buscemi, and a few others. But first, why don't we introduce our cast? We have Marisa Serafini.
Hello, everyone.
And you might have seen her every now and then. It's Becca Brown.
Hi.
And I'm Phil Svitek. And for those of you joining us for the very first time, understand that this movie will be spoiler-filled. And also, if you want to follow along with us, you can download our rundown on in the description. Just click the link and you can download it. It's also got our pictures, so that way if you're just listening to the audio version, you can get the pictures just the same. And as we always do, let's start with overall impressions, starting with sort of our guest host, Becca Brown.
I'm gonna keep it concise. It had like everything I needed in a movie, well, in like an animated movie. Had cute babies and cute animated dogs, and it had really good music. And I mean, I saw it yesterday and really enjoyed it.
All right. That was quick. Marisa.
Yeah, it was. I saw the trailer a few times for this film, and I'm a big fan of Alec Baldwin and everything he does. So like automatically, just watching the trailer, I was laughing. I was like, oh, I'll definitely see this film. And DreamWorks is pumping out a lot of good movies lately that like I've actually thoroughly enjoyed. So like, and I'll give it to them. This was a solid film because I laughed a lot. Yes, it had babies, but also what I took out of the film was like the meaning of family, not like how you started, but how you end up, and like that, like I really, that really hit something with me, and I enjoyed it. And overall, like I got laughs, and I think if you're an adult, you can enjoy this. If you're a kid, you can enjoy this.
It's feel good.
Yeah, I think this movie, for whatever reason, obviously ended up being number one at the box office and finally took down Beauty and the Beast. However, it doesn't have that high of a score on Rotten Tomatoes overall. And I wonder why. I think this movie is clever enough. I think it's, invented something kind of cool. It stays within that imagination. And, what's fun about it is that it completes the cycle in the sense that now he's sort of passing this on to his kid as a means. Mm-hmm. And so we never really leave, we never get out of that reality too much, which is the fun part, even though we get those quick glimpses of like, oh, he has an overactive imagination.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, good. And you know what? They explained all those things quite funny, and it's enjoyable. Kind of the origin story of the ultimate boss. Through the eyes of Tim Templeton.
Yeah, I liked how the narrative for this film was through the kid's perspective, and I feel with a lot of kids you get the kid's perspective, but it was from the older siblings' perspective of how they see the world of the parents and having a baby come into the family, like their initial thoughts of what that would do and change the dynamic within the story. I liked that.
I feel like the life lesson was more, like the life lesson by the end of the movie was more meaningful because of that narration from the older kid.
Absolutely, and I love the fact that it brought them together, and it's the first movie that I've ever seen that's made memos fun.
Right.
Memos could change the world.
They can.
They did in this movie, certainly.
It changed his world for sure. It saved his world, really.
Absolutely. All right, Marisa, you want to kick us off with the beginning, the development of all of this?
Yes. So DreamWorks, I mean, they've been really great. They acquired, they usually acquire interesting books, and this was one of them. Marla Frazee, the original writer of the book, The Boss Baby. We had the director Tom McGrath. He was in talks with DreamWorks about this, and they gave him this book, and he immediately it resonated with him because he comes from a family like that. He is an older sibling, and it's something that related to him. And then also the producer of this movie, Ramsey and Nato, she also is a sibling, and she understood the family aspect, and so it resonated both with the creator and the director, and they were just so on board with the concept of this family.
Yeah, and I like her quote. She wrote, Tom sent me the script about 3.5 years ago. My connection through was being a mother. I have children, and my first son was 7, just like Tom Templeton. When my second son arrived, he was really jealous. So, yeah. So obviously a lot of connection there. This is sort of maybe for a little bit later, but one of the things I do like in terms of DreamWorks, how much they believed in it was that they were willing to push back the release date from 2016 to now, because one of the things I certainly enjoyed was that, we go throughout the house, but yet no one scene is ever the same. The room always changes.
Right.
The hallway is a huge example of that, and it just depends on the sort of mood Templeton is, because that's the way he perceives the world and whatnot. And so his room could be a jail cell, or it could be a happy place.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll definitely get into the animation, but that's what I also enjoyed about this film was the different types of animation that was in it, and I wasn't expecting it, because we're having so many just kids films now that like you only see animation and that's it. We're getting away from like the 2D hand-drawn animation style that I really miss. But even Kung Fu Panda, which is also another DreamWorks film, like they did really well in the 2D animation. There's a lot of sequences like that. Also with Madagascar, also DreamWorks, I think DreamWorks does a great job of still having the 2D animation style aspect. And I think they easily incorporated it within this film.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they did a good job with the kids' imagination scenes, because it brought magic to the film, which I love. And it didn't go too over the top, because I feel like that's how kids actually think. That's how a kid's mind works.
Yeah. And it set up the rules very nicely. The whatever you call it, a tootsie, you call it a sucker, whatever. Right? The thing that makes them remember.
Oh, the pacifier.
Yeah,
That's it.
The pacifier.
Like, wait,
he
what are
went
we
through
going
all
at?
the things that it could be named. He didn't name a pacifier, because a baby's not going to know what the hell a pacifier is.
Yeah.
But so I like that, and I love the simple premise of like, hey, love's being taken away by puppies.
Because that's also true.
Yeah.
Or like your attention,
puppies.
like that same type of love that you give towards a newborn baby can also be the same type of love that you give to a newborn puppy.
Yeah, because they're
It comes
both
from the
cute.
same place.
It does.
It's the cuteness effect.
But I'll give you a secret about love. Love is the one thing that defies physics. You can multiply it.
Oh, hey-oh.
It's deep.
I like that. That is.
There you go. So if only the babies knew that.
And they didn't.
They didn't. So absolutely, very very simple premise overall and whatnot, and it just kind of to be honest, when I saw the trailers, I didn't quite know how this was going to work out and how it was going to be sort of grounded in reality, and they had the best answer ever. Don't ground it in reality whatsoever.
Oh, no.
Just from the poster, I was thinking that. Like, just from, like, seeing posters on, like, Hollywood Boulevard and stuff. I'm like, how is that movie going to work? Like, are people actually going to go see it? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be funny? Is it going to do what it's supposed to? But I thought it was good.
It did. People gave it a shot, and you know what? It succeeded.
Glad it gave it a shot.
All right. Let's talk about the Brotherhood. Well, let's talk about the story structure. I mean, it's an age-old story structure where you sort of start in the middle, or you start sort of towards the end and you kind of work your way backwards, meaning Tim's retelling the story. Now, at first, we don't know that it's his child. It's his girl.
Yeah.
But he's recounting the story, and we get that sort of, it's the Odyssey does that, right?
Yeah.
Dating back to that sort of technique. And I like the one gripe I will say I had kind of with it, and I want to get your guys' perspective. Alec Baldwin, his voice stays throughout the movie, even as he gets older in that latter half, whereas Tim changes voices, and I was like, I don't think we should have changed voices.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stick with what I said before, that I think they were just trying to bring Tobey Maguire into the movie somehow because he's a well-known name, and it just draws more people, even though they already have well-known names. It just draws people even more.
You know, it's interesting. That really honestly didn't bother me as much because I like the fact that we actually had a child actor voicing a child, because if you tried to get Tobey Maguire doing all the imagination scenes and pretending, and I don't think it would translate as well to have that fun childlike innocence that what the actual child actor could bring to an actual child. I mean, we even had when we'll get into it, but like Alec Baldwin, when his character was finally starting to like play along with imaginations, it still felt like an adult, but like accepting what was happening. I don't think that would have worked well if Tobey was trying to show us all the imaginations within his voice.
I mean, I could picture him voicing a kid well, but not to the extent of the whole showing the imagination happening.
Yeah, and I guess
The innocence is
I guess in discussion of it, it does work because Boss Baby is always an adult, and so he kind of does stay the same. He's like an adult that regains his imagination, and all that stuff. Whereas Tim kind of does have to grow up a little bit. And so I guess you're correct in having discussed it.
They meet in the middle.
What do you guys think of all the tropes? Just having like the fact that the parents worked for Puppy Co. and were successful, and like the secret mission is, okay, we're gonna infiltrate, we're gonna tire them out, so that way we can gain information about Puppy Co. and the new puppy.
I had mixed feelings about Puppy Co. Like at the beginning, I was like, "Oh, puppies, yay!" And then my actual reaction, "Puppies, yay!" And then, like we were talking about this earlier, like Puppy Co. is a villainous place, kind of, so to speak.
It was funny because we saw Puppy Co. and all I could think of was like, "Wow, does PetSmart go through this in real life?"
Yeah.
Do they always have to like work their marketing campaigns to make sure that they don't go out of company? It was funny how they set that up as the villain, but even though like it wasn't like out of maliciousness, it was just this
competitiveness.
This baby corp was viewing Puppy Co. as the villain. So we're like, they're not really doing something mean. They're just doing a business. They're running a business.
Yeah.
They're doing their job, honestly. Even if it's putting your business out, then that's really on you. That's not on Puppy Co.
Well, there lies. I don't think what we learn at the end of the movie is that Puppy Co. is not necessarily evil. It's Francis.
Yeah.
Because he's not doing it for that. He literally is trying to basically take revenge against Baby Corp because of what he went through.
I think the twist was interesting because I didn't see it coming, that he looked up to Francis and...
What was his name again? The big fat baby, amazing gluttonous boss baby.
I should have written it.
I'll look it up, but I thought that twist was really good because I didn't predict it, that he was like looking up to him, and then he turns out to be all evil and malicious and stuff like that.
We should have known though, because like usually when you get that twist of a villain at the end, it's usually because of we were already introduced to this person, so we should have known. I thought that the setup was brilliant because he made it out to be his idol, something that he wanted to work for. And with the whole twist of the villain at the end, again, it put the twist on Baby Corp. That company was actually the one who did all the wrongdoing, and not Puppy Co.
Yeah, certainly. It just makes you wonder. Sometimes babies shouldn't be running businesses.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's probably good advice. That's probably why they don't run businesses on this way.
Hey, you don't know that. Baby Corp exists.
It does?
You don't know.
Where?
Like, well, not in real life. I mean, on honestly. But I mean, but you can think about it. There have been like people in real life, like you could technically be a king of a country while you're a baby, and you know, like, but you can't have them run the country because they just don't have the intelligence level to run a country.
I've watched something like that actually, but different country.
But like you know what I mean? It's like
continent.
you can have power being a baby or being
Yeah.
someone small, but that doesn't mean you should necessarily run it or you're in the best position to do it. You know.
In history terms, more like depending on who your ancestors are. I feel like.
And again, you know, one of the things I did like was the pacing of this movie because it introduced things at the right time. So even with like Baby Core, you didn't quite know what it was. They withheld that information because you're sort of watching him go through this, and you know he's nervous about just the tickle test, and you're like, okay, he's not going to go there with the family. So what's the alternative?
The eyes were so sad, like while he was watching everyone else.
I laughed the hardest when it said management. 'Cause it just like established the fact like because you're emotionless and like you can't allow yourself to be happy, you go into management.
Yeah.
I thought
That's
that was
true.
a sad but funny realization.
It is, you know, and I love the tit for tat later between him and Tim of like, oh, my dad says people who can't do manage,
Yeah, exactly.
and the baby's like, nope.
I think they were poking fun at like just being in a managerial position.
Yeah,
But I don't
absolutely.
think that's necessarily true.
It is what you make it out to be.
Yeah,
honestly.
that.
Oh, 100%. That's why, you know, but I just love the comedy of all the sort of big business management type stuff of like, I got, you know, are you going to do anything? Yeah, I'm going to write a memo. But yeah, but aren't you going to do anything? No, well, memo is doing something.
Makes you feel better.
So yeah,
Makes you
I
feel
just
like
I
you're
just
doing
loved all the parodies of like the corporate world from a baby's perspective.
Definitely, you know, and I was thinking while watching it, I was like, okay, if you're in family, is it only just these two options? What like, is there like a happy middle? If it's not family, if it's not management, what's another thing
Disneyland.
that it could go in? Like, what's another category it could be under?
Work in an amusement park. No.
Social services, who knows?
Social.
Like customer service, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, there should be like a happy medium. That would have been interesting.
Maybe on the next one.
The next one.
Maybe when the
Is there gonna
kid.
be a second one?
I don't know. Maybe it's
I
from
wanna watch
the
it.
girl's perspective.
Oh.
Maybe.
My daddy said this, but I don't see that. And that's my girl voice.
Yeah. I
It was
think
really
it was
good.
interesting how they tried to skirt around the idea of where the babies come from.
Mm-hmm.
And then they
That
show
was
us
so.
literally a whole production line or like a factory assembly line of this is where babies come from. I'm like, okay, this is how they're going to establish
Well,
it.
and then at one point, he whispers to the baby. He's like, "This is what my parents told me,"
Right.
and I'm like, "Oh dear."
Well, it's good because, you know, I mean, I think it's a great kind of explanation to little kids who are there with their parents. And of course, Becca was very eager to find out, but she'll have to wait another day.
Today is not that day.
Yeah, where was I going to next with that? One of the things you had pulled this, Marissa, that I found interesting was how Alec Baldwin sort of fell in love with this, and they combined Megamind with lines from 30 Rock, and Alex saw that, and that's what kind of got him on board for the concept.
Yeah, and you know, and I loved both. 30 Rock is a great show. That's, you know, why I love Alec Baldwin. But Megamind was such an underrated animated film that I think more people should have saw it and more people should appreciate it because that was an actually good film. Talking about anti-hero, I mean, that movie had a twist in itself that worked out for the better for it. And like blending those two, yeah, I was totally on board with Boss Baby. And just the ironic fact that you have an adult baby that acts like an adult but is stuck in a baby, you know, body. Just that fact alone is funny. You
And voiced by an
want to
adult.
watch that just to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I mean, they had everything, even down to getting your quote unquote coffee, which was their bottle, and all that stuff. Yeah. They really, really did nail it. Let's talk about Tim, because obviously he's the protagonist of all of this. I think the nice part is he changes. It's a brother movie, but in the same, like, it has the same tropes of a buddy comedy movie where ultimately they all have to come together and work together. So both, in this case, change equally.
Yeah.
Which is nice to see. And but let's talk about Tim. What was your favorite part? Your the thing that you gravitated towards most?
I liked that I could see, like, probably me in it as a child, except I loved my little sisters. When my mom told me my little sisters were coming, I bought dolls to, like, pretend that they were my little sisters.
Were you as jealous as Tim was?
I was never jealous. I was so excited. But
were you ever disappointed later in life? If you're like, I had so much high hopes for you, but look at you now.
I mean, sibling rivalries and stuff happen, so I think that aspect of the movie, it's like every sibling has moments where they're like, I want to be the only kid in the house type thing. And
well, Marisa, you're no stranger to siblings.
I know, and but I'm not the oldest sibling.
Are you the youngest?
I am the baby of my family. So, like, I don't really understand, like, the jealousy of the adult sibling. I find it relatable, though, within a family. It's like, how do you equally disperse love throughout to all your children?
Yeah.
I thought that was relatable. But, Miles Bakshi, who voiced him, I thought he did a great job, because even the character of Tim, yeah, he is the protagonist of the film, and we're following a child throughout. He was more precocious than a 7-year-old kid at that age. And I thought it was easy to follow him, because not once did I felt that I was, incumbent to a child's innocence, intelligence range, or like, oh, you can only go so far until the joke is over, because adults would understand that's not how it goes. Not once did I felt limited by child's innocence, and his imaginations were fun, and I thought it was true to what a kid is. Yeah, it's going to be erratic and all over the place, but I thought it was a fun, likable kid to follow throughout a whole film.
I think the imagination scenes were something that adults could also enjoy, where it's like, in like some children's program, it's like, that looks ridiculous. It's like, it looked ridiculous, but at the same time, it's like, oh, so that's what like my little cousin or my kid is thinking in their head. I also watched a video where at the beginning, when he was running down the stairs, his shirt changed from 1 to 2. It had the number 1 on it, but then when Boss Baby arrived, it had the number 2 on it.
I see.
I found that interesting.
Interesting.
I missed that.
Yeah, I was not.
I missed that in the
shirt.
movie, but I watched a video and they said that fact, and I was like, that's interesting.
Absolutely. And like I said, I just can't commend it enough on all the tropes that it uses. The fact that, like, play dates turn into meetings.
Hysterical.
I did feel for the I don't know, I don't want to call him this, but the stupid baby.
It was so yes.
He was so sweet. He just wanted to help.
He was just the big lovable baby that you can't help but just love.
Yeah, he wasn't fully developed in the brain quite yet.
Not yet. I feel like none of the other little sidekicks were, but
I like the sidekick babies, though. They were fun.
Yeah, I liked them.
They added so much more to the film than I was actually expecting them to be. I mean, we had a whole chase sequence with them. I'm like, what are these babies? I mean, they were pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, I feel like the little girl reminded me of, like, one of the characters on Charlie Brown. To be honest, the girl sidekick.
Oh, okay. Which one? Which Charlie Brown character?
It's terrible.
Oh,
lost the name.
You can't bring that up if you don't know. I like that the
brunette
triplets
girl.
were funny.
The triplets were funny.
It's like,
And the
you're gonna
little,
think
like,
for
onesies.
yourself? Yes, absolutely.
You can't tell us what to say.
They're the Three Musketeers. Child form, yeah.
That was great, and they were all, and it made sense. They were all sort of employees of Puppy Co. So if you have, which by the way, they created such a elaborate daycare, if you will,
Oh, they do.
and all for evil purposes to lure all the kids to see who they can catch.
Well, when you have all the money in the world, I guess you can.
Perhaps, yeah. Okay, the parents. Let's talk about the parents. Lisa Kudrow and Jimmy Kimmel. I thought they did a wonderful job.
Perfect.
They were just the right amount of like real in this crazy chaotic world that we needed, and at the same time just lovable, not knowing what's really going on.
I think the dad being voiced by Jimmy Kimmel and me having like watched videos he posts of like his daughter helped me with like the whole him being in a family aspect thing in this movie. So I liked him voicing the dad.
Yeah,
And I liked Lisa.
I really liked him. I'm a big fan of Lisa Kudrow. I mean, hello, friends.
Yes.
She's great. And I actually watched an interview with Lisa before I watched this film. And she pointed out a fun fact that Lisa Kudrow and Alec Baldwin actually played boyfriend and girlfriend in Friends. And now just, talking about the industry and how it just kind of comes full circle now that she's voicing the voice of the mother of Alec Baldwin. It's just, funny how the industry works.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I think there was humor. They felt like realistic parents. And the fact that they were so easy to kind of manipulate from the baby, but again, not in a malicious way. Just like, yeah, we have a new child. And the way that they twisted, having a newborn baby, the different situations, like, oh, he needs his water bottle or his milk bottle. All these situations that typically what parents go through.
The exhaustion.
With yeah.
I like how the sped up scene where like everything's like sped up and then they're like all of a sudden asleep. I'm like, that's probably a thing that happens.
Oh, 100%.
I'm like, my poor parents.
You probably the worst backup.
But you gave your parents hell.
I was like, I want a pony every day.
And I even loved it. Just had so many layers of humor. I even enjoyed the we have to talk about that BABEE. Why? Because he's taking over. So I enjoyed they never let a joke go unexplored, if you will. They always kind of were like, can we punch this up a little bit, and they were able to do that. So I enjoyed all aspects of that. What was your guys, might as well just kind of stamp it home, but what was your favorite fantasy sequence or even set piece? Should we go to Marisa?
Yeah, go to Marisa.
Okay. I loved all the different imaginations because not one was similar to each other.
Yeah.
They all had different looks. One that I thought was sometimes simplicity goes a long way, and simple is better. The ninja, when he's in the hallway and trying to figure out what the noise is, that was 2D animation. That was hand drawn. I missed that style. Plus, it was simple to look at because it was black and red. But it was still visually intriguing, going with the narrative. I liked it. It was simple, and even the pirates scene at the end. And I like that because colorful wise, oh my goodness, it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
But also just storytelling wise, that's when they were truly finally coming together and bonding and. It built that relationship to move the story forward. I felt the pirates bonding scene had, more impact than all the other imaginations.
I was gonna say the pirate scene at the end and the beginning scene because it set up the whole story and his imagination and what we're gonna be seeing throughout the film. But I like the pirate scene at the end because it's where they defeated and they defeated the bad guy and they won. and my heart, I was already feeling like a lot of feelings by that point in the movie because it was so emotional. I'm like, oh, they've bonded. It's so sweet. And that's how Becca views the movie.
I enjoyed the part where he's like, I'm going to be there for Christmas. I'm going to be there for this. I'm going to be there for that. Because in that moment, it's a very threatening thing, but they were able to repurpose that, obviously, towards the end of the movie. And Tim's saying it to Boss Baby, and he's saying it as almost like a promise of, hey, we'll always be together. So the fact that they were able to repurpose that line in a different way, I thought was very clever and a good technique.
Yeah, I liked it. It made it more meaningful, definitely the second time around. Because the first time it was like a threat, and the second time is a promise as a brother, as a family member, that you're going to be there for a different reason.
Yeah, 100%. Also, I love the cookies are for closers, because it's from Alec Baldwin's Coffee is for Closers line.
Yes.
I read that.
All right.
That was a funny line.
I liked...
Put the cookie down.
I liked the whole when they were on their way to the airport scene, and I liked it even more after I watched a video, like, an hour. I was watching this, like, fun facts video, and it said, in the video said that the neighborhood that they were going through was, like, modeled after E.T. and the bike ride in E.T. So...
I like
enjoyed that scene now.
I really
A
enjoyed
little
the chase scene because you got all the babies, and I'm just thinking, where are the parents?
Yeah.
You know? Like, and if there were any witnesses watching babies go down the street, you know, it's like the unrealistic nature of the scene is funny. Just thinking about it.
I didn't really
it was
think
cool
on that.
because it was nicely blended again into the animation, and it helped with Tim overcome his fear of, you know, taking out the
bike.
training wheels. And again, this was another bonding scene that I enjoyed.
And another thing that every kid goes through, the training wheels. And it's like a big step in the movie because, like, training wheels, it's growth, not having training wheels on your bike.
Absolutely. Especially for that, because, like, that was a point of contention by Boss Baby's like, oh, you need training wheels. Timothy, Leslie, Templeton.
Leslie. And every time they said Leslie, everyone laughed.
Every time they said Templeton, though, I thought of a rat. Because Charlotte's one.
Oh, right.
Oh, Becca.
Again, showing your age.
Hey, listen, well, Charlotte's Web's a good...
It's a good movie.
It is, actually. That's
You know, it's a book.
feel-good, heartful.
And a book.
Okay, because I've read the book. I've probably
book.
not seen the movie, I don't think.
I've seen the animation and the live for Charlotte's
Me
Web
too.
and read the book.
All right. So Tom McGrath directed it. He's also done Megamind, a movie which you advocated for, and he's done the Madagascar movies so far. So he's no stranger to the animation game by any means.
I feel like I haven't seen a DreamWorks movie in a long time, like a DreamWorks animated movie, and I was impressed. Like,
Have you seen Kung Fu Panda?
I've not.
Okay.
I'm sorry. But honesty,
You got
yeah,
something to
I haven't watched a DreamWorks animation film in a long time because I'm a Disney person, not gonna lie. So I think if
you
something
can be
has
both.
Disney before it, I'm like, Disney, gotta go see that.
Right.
But they were up to Disney's level.
Is that the standard?
It might be.
I think Tom did a great job of balancing, you know, the animation. We definitely got the storytelling across, but, you know, the moral lessons within the book. Something, I mean, it started from a kid's book, so I think he did a great job of fleshing it out and having it, you know, relate to the adults and to the child perspective. And yeah, we know he knows animation. He knows that world. It's not new to him. I think there was a nice balance. The pacing was incredibly fast. At the end of this film, I was like, oh, it's over. Because I don't think there was like one scene that lasted more than 2 minutes. So, and you gotta remember, this is geared towards the younger
Kids.
demographic where ADD is not, you know, like attention isn't as long as it should be.
Which
and it never lost my attention.
I saw the ADD-ness with the baby in my theater in the front row. The whole time. baby's like in front of me crossing, waving
actual
at me
theater.
in my theater. Yeah.
Well, my
True.
my theater was actually pretty good. The kids were all right.
Supervised.
I supervised it, but I mean, even so, like they, even if they have supervision, they can act out.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
kids,
Kids are
didn't
kids.
act out, so that was a bonus for my screening. One of the things that we've sort of touched upon, but the idea that we've talked about the number of jokes that it has, how great it is, but it's also fantastic to hear, like, going back to the point of ADD, they were very specific with the scenes that they kept, and they trimmed it down to what they needed to, because if you're that young and that's your core audience, they're not gonna have a big attention span, so they don't want a 2-hour movie. Mm-hmm. This was a very fast-paced movie, and so I don't know, let's call it brevity.
Fast-paced and enjoyable.
Absolutely.
I think there was just a nice balance because it was a short film, but they managed to fit so many different aspects into this film. You had a villain, you had a family member, you had a twist, you had a chase scene. You also had moments where it was slow and you let it breathe, especially after when the plane goes off and he's just sitting there in the airport terminal. It's like it had its moments to be calm. That I think it was a good balance of a lot of different types of moments.
And I feel like they could have like easily added like 5 or more montage scenes throughout, but they didn't, and they had like only like 2 scenes that were like sped up, really, I think, throughout the movie.
Well, at that point, yeah, it was like basically 2 days until Puppy Con at the convention center.
Where do you live? The convention center?
Hey, listen, good for the bachelorettes. Something that I didn't realize about Hans Zimmer, but he does a lot of animated movies.
Yeah, he does.
Which explains like why the music was good.
It certainly was, but when I think of Hans Zimmer, I don't always think of him as kids. I think of him like over the top, Inception, boom,
Epic swell.
boom. Not necessarily.
That's
Boss
true.
Baby.
That's true.
But a job well done overall.
Yeah, I mean, like I definitely noticed it during the car chase, or not the car chase. Just the chase in the street, the baby chase, more if you want to call it that. I recognized it in that because it's a lot is happening and you're switching back and forth. Plus, that is the nice blend into an imagination, which you had the overswell of literally an ocean when we saw that. So we got the crescendo of his music during that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and it was him and Steve Mazzaro. They collaborated on this together. I as we pointed out, and I think you, Becca, in particular, at the beginning, and this isn't necessarily the score, but just the combination of the score along with the music that's there that they were able to pull. A very fantastic job in general, I thought, with the music.
And it's not just the orchestra, but there was actually, a song that had meaning in this movie, with the Blackbird. That's a great, iconic song, and the fact that they used it in different ways, and talking about repurposing, like that was a personal song that his parents sang to Tim to calm him down, and then even at the end,
full circle.
Yeah, he was doing it to calm down the boss baby, and like it had more meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that great joke from the baby to Tim of like, are your parents the Beatles? No, you don't even know our parents' names.
Right.
He actually said John and
Yeah, that's what he said. He was like, no.
So I rather enjoyed that. Anything else production-wise that you guys want to discuss before we move on to the reception and box office?
Well, a little bit about the production and animation. We were talking about the different styles of all the imaginations, but they actually wanted to use the 40s, 50s, and 60s styles for all the different abstract, colorful themes of each imagination that Tim goes through. And then of course there's a lot of like references that people wouldn't get, or you could call them Easter eggs. But you had Moby Dick, you
Yeah.
had Evil Knievel. There was just you also had E.T. There's a lot of kid references, but like those stories are all like coming of age stories.
And was the umbrella thing like actually meant to be a Mary Poppins thing? Because it's DreamWorks, not Disney, so I was kind of confused on that one.
Yeah. And I mean, you also had Gandalf, which that was
was fun.
hysterical.
Yeah, and that's Warner Brothers.
Yeah, that's Warner Brothers.
I'm a wizard. I don't even know. We don't even have clocks.
Halflings.
It's
You shall
7
not
o'clock.
pass.
I liked the whole intro scene with the babies.
That was
Pretty cute.
The assembly line.
Assembly line.
That was adorable, and the song.
Yeah, that was good with the pacifier. That almost, he's like, no, you shall not go in there. That's for sure.
No.
That would hurt.
The pacifier was a fun tool that they used also to help transport them to babycore. I was like, oh,
That was-
interesting.
That was quite funny. And then when Dad opens the door and he's like, "What the heck?"
Bonding moment.
Bonding moment.
Yeah.
Sweet bonding moment.
Yeah, I don't need to be a part of this. I'm gonna let you guys do your thing. You know, maybe
Well,
if you
gonna-
maybe by the time you're 10, if you're still doing this, we might be a little bit worried.
You should be concerned.
I mean, my sister didn't get a purd still. She was like 6. She's gonna hate me.
All right. Well, in term, we'll backtrack towards box office, but first, in terms of reception, A- for cinema score. So very good score. However, the Rotten Tomatoes only a 50. I mean, come on, really?
I wonder why it's so low.
What? I don't get it. Like,
Is it like just Alec
I was
Baldwin's
gonna say, I feel like it's
performance?
just Alec Baldwin.
Because, like,
His name.
yes, he is a very dominating character, and like,
but he's no
Alec
Kevin
Bald-
Hart.
yeah, no, exactly. It's like, oh, don't even get me started on Kevin Hart. Trust me, that's a whole nother rant in and of its own. But I think Alec Baldwin does a great job because he is a strong lead character. He is a strong actor who can actually lead a movie. I mean, if you take Tim out, this movie's freaking called The Boss Baby. It is about the baby. But I thought Tim was equally as strong
Yeah.
as Boss Baby.
I mean, I think I'm starting to think there's like certain actors who just can't win on Rotten Tomatoes, like movies that they're in can't win, and maybe Alec Baldwin's one of them.
I don't know. Influx gave it a C+, and they write, The Boss Baby is the middle of the road, mostly done, one-note joke movie that remains focused on imaginative qualities. Its literal premise doesn't always inspire on the surface. And I disagree with I don't think it has to go beyond that, but the beyond part of it is literal brotherhood and what that means and how, both can learn from each other and grow together. And what else? It's beautifully done. What else do you need beyond that? Did you have a shitty childhood?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, this is sounds like someone who's just bitter.
Yeah, I maybe the critics are viewing it from the minds of, like, too much from the mind of an adult and not enough from the mind of a child. And that's a problem.
I viewed it as an adult, and I still had fun with it.
I mean, I viewed it as like
Questionable.
who I am. Yeah. You need to in the middle of adult and child.
I would say Marissa's an adult, and she enjoyed it. So
I enjoyed it, and I don't want to get like too into it, but I heard that the people who are adopted might have a more bigger issue with this because where the babies come from and like how babies are integrated into families, they might have
Might be
an issue
offensive.
how this movie showed that. And you know what? And I will say this, like, I personally
see
am
that.
adopted, and I didn't see any problem with this. I think people just need to get the stick out of
that
their
was
asses.
their
Get over it.
intent. Like that.
Yeah, it's like, and like, I don't want to get too into it, but I didn't see that as an issue at all because they had the funny references of what actually happens. You know,
Yeah.
you can infer it's like this is just their storytelling of where the baby came from and why he's so different from a regular family.
From the perspective of Tim.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. At the end of the day, too, it's no different. How many times have we seen storks? In fact, there's a freaking movie called Storks.
I love Storks. And that was a great film.
You know, I mean, how many theories are there from kids about where do babies come from? So, like, you know, come on, get over it.
And in fairness, Storks, babies came from a letter, all right? A piece of paper. That's where the babies were manufactured from. And, like, that was a great film. Go watch that film, too. I enjoyed it.
I just think our world needs to take things less seriously sometimes.
Yeah, I was like, this is the world of this is how, in their version, this is where the babies come from, so we can understand where.
Yeah.
Becca, you need to write a memo.
Take things less serious?
Yeah, you just send a memo.
Have fun in life.
Well, at the very least, people did have fun with the movie. Number one at the box office. Opened up with 50 million, give or take, just slightly above that. So that's a great number.
Yeah, especially for an animated film too. That's huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
And especially that it topped Beauty and the Beast thing.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast was going strong for quite a number of weeks.
Yeah. I mean, like DreamWorks does, they do pump out great kid content, and like adults can enjoy it too, but they have strong animated films. And Beauty and the Beast has been in the theaters for a while now, but that's not to say that this film was a terrible film. This was actually a very enjoyable film.
Absolutely. It 53% females versus 47% males. And 62% of the audience being under the age of 25. Hey, that's Becca. That's not me.
That is Becca. That's only Becca.
Buy one here.
So absolutely. And I think this movie will have legs. I think people, whatever hesitancy there was, I think people will start to be like, oh, you know what? It's actually a good movie. I think word of mouth is going to help propel it. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see it go beyond that. I forget, what do we even have this weekend? Nothing's going to compete with this directly.
Gifted comes out this weekend.
No one's going to watch that. Not to say that's a bad movie either, but yeah, I mean, we have some other films, not as big as like an animated film.
Yeah.
So it'll be. I think it'll hold up for a little bit, certainly. Mm-hmm. In terms of keeping a number one spot, I don't know if it'll be able to keep it. I know next week, the Fate of the Furious is definitely going to take that number one spot. But
does the Anne Hathaway
I think Smurfs comes out this weekend, so that's another animated
film.
Ooh,
you're right.
That might overtake this film.
And does the Anne Hathaway one come out?
Smurf has been around way longer than the Boss Baby, just like the storyline that has different generations of a following for that film.
Yeah,
so
my cousin's a Smurf
That might
fan.
give them a boost over this film.
Well, if certainly this movie won't topple it, going in style.
Oh,
And
yeah.
It's that?
It's for old people.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman, like a bunch of
Retarded.
males.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Have fun.
So.
Yeah, I think Smurf is his biggest competition right now.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll see. We'll see how they handle it. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up and send a good old memo?
Overall, like I think this movie visually it was fun to watch. Storytelling, there's a lot of moral lessons to it, and a lot of relatability. Especially when it comes to family. I think people can really get on board with how they showed it, and I think they showed it in a fun, comedic light of families and what it means to actually be a family.
Yeah, go see it and be like open to it. Go see it with like a light heart. Be prepared to have fun because it's a comedy and it's funny and it's cute and there's life lessons and morals, especially if you have siblings. And I mean, I kind of got emotional at the end.
No,
So,
did you?
yeah. I was crying at the end.
I liked how the Boss Baby, went through the process again and changed its
Changed his life.
outcome. Yeah.
Absolutely. I thought I like I said, I can't praise it enough for its cleverness.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to them for that. I enjoyed it a lot, and I would be curious. I could see a sequel, that like from the perspective of the daughter. It could be fun to kind of see a comparison. And like I said, the irony being like, this isn't what my dad's told me.
I could see them doing a sequel in some way.
Boss babies. I don't know. Make it plural.
Yeah, who knows? Alrighty, well, it's been fun talking about it with you guys. It's a fun movie.
It is.
Thank you guys for joining us. Let us know your thoughts, your opinions. We enjoy reading them. And we'll be back next week with certainly more movies. What are we doing? Out of those three, which two are we doing?
We're probably doing Smurfs.
What?
We might be doing Smurfs.
Oh my dear Lord.
Phil's excited.
I'll probably be just doing Going Out in Style.
And we'll do Fate of the Furious when that comes out. We do have we're on the start of the summer movies.
Yeah,
They're
we are.
slowly starting to
Guardians of
come
the
out.
Galaxy is not too far off.
Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to. I'm sure we've got a ton of animated movies in the summer as well to look forward to. Maybe not necessarily another Zootopia type of movie. That was just so good. But we'll see.
It was really good.
I'm sure there's going to be some great ones. Thank you guys for joining us as always at Serafini TV.
That's right.
At Beck B Talks TV.
There you go. And at the Popcorn Talk. And check out our other movies here. We don't have an animation show directly, but we should get one.
You should.
We've
That's
talked
our
about
missing-
Kung Fu Panda. We've talked about Storks. We've talked about all.
That's
a
on
lot of
Anatomy.
other
On
films.
Anatomy.
For
So definitely
Anatomy.
check out past Anatomy shows.
Yeah.
And the Instagram account.
And our Instagram account, where we are also there, Twitter and Instagram at Movie Anatomy.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next time on another Anatomy of a Movie.
And we feel enough to grow. There are sunbeams and moonbeams enough to shine. Oh, listen, Lord, if you want to know.
Phil Svitek and the rest of the Anatomy of a Movie staff, we would like to thank you for listening and subscribing to the show. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email or tweet us. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been Anatomy of a Movie.